Alright, so we have to find the measure of this angle, TQS, and all we know is that that figure is a cube. In order to find an angle in a right triangle, that's not the right angle, so one of the acute angles, you need to know the ratio between two of the sides. So that could be like, if we're finding this angle Q here, that could be like the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse, or that could be the ratio of opposite over adjacent, or adjacent over hypotenuse, because those ratios are sine, cosine, and tangent. Alright, and with that we can find the angles using a calculator or a trig table. So we don't know the length of any of these sides, so I could call all these sides, let's just call them 1. You could call them x if you wanted to, and then do everything in terms of x, but if you call it 1, then like it'll still be the same ratio. Alright, so that means like this side here would be 1, and this side here would be 1. So that didn't really come out well, but oops. So if I just draw this square on the bottom, where like that side is 1 and that side is 1, I have to figure out this side right here, which, oops, I didn't mean to do that, which, like, I'll highlight it on the picture. This length here in orange is the same as this length here. Alright, so that's got to be root 2, because it's an isosceles right triangle. So like that leg going across from Q to S is root 2. Alright, and then this leg here is 1. So I know that if I'm looking for this angle here in green, alright, the tangent of that angle Q, or angle TQS, is equal to the opposite leg divided by the adjacent leg. So like 1 over root 2. Alright, so this is where the inverse kicks in. So like your domain is Q, that's an angle. Your range, what it equals, the output, is a ratio. In math, when you switch these two, that's called, or in algebra specifically, or any type of math, that's called an inverse. So you could switch the input and the output, and you just change the function to the inverse. Alright, so now in the inverse, see, we plug in a ratio, and we get an angle. So now you could do this a couple different ways. You could use a calculator and just type this in. You can also see what 1 over root 2 equals as a decimal and look on a trig table. Alright, but it's better to get used to using the calculator. So I'll pull up the calculator and just do the tangent inverse. So trig, tan inverse, alright? So tan, you plug in angles and you get ratios. Tan inverse, you plug in ratios and get angles. So the ratio is 1 over root 2. You could plug that in as exactly like that, or plug it in as a decimal. Now if you just hit enter, it's just going to simplify, like rationalize that. So if you hit control enter, it'll find it as a decimal. Alright, and you get 35.2, which is 35.2 degrees. And you could check it by doing the tangent of that angle, and you get 0.707, which as a decimal is 1 over root 2. Alright, so that angle, TQS, is going to be 35.2 degrees.